My name is Duran, and I'll be taking you through question 1 and 2. Dean will be taking you through question 3 and 4. So high level for me, what I found is that most students understand the definition and recognition criteria, however, fail to apply it specifically to the scenario. And we need to really get to grips with this because that's actually where all of the marks lie. So in terms of the first question, we need to understand that we're looking for why we shouldn't recognize something. So that means either the definition or recognition criteria is not met. So in terms of this first question, right, we're talking about employees and the fact that they are permanently employed. Some people basically said that because they're employed by the company is able to control them. And to a certain extent, I agree that it does. It incentivizes their behavior. But remember, a person can always direct how they will react, so they can control themselves. So that basically links to the fact that in the control definition, it includes the part where it says that no other entity can direct the use of the assets. But if an employee can direct their own behavior, irrespective of their contract with the company, then that means it's not met. And therefore, the asset definition criteria is not met, and no asset will be able to be recognized. Okay, awesome. So let's move on to question 2. The important thing here is to understand that the asset definition criteria is actually met. Why? Because we have a present economic resource via the potential inflow that comes about because of our reputation maybe bringing in more customers. The fact that we control the reputation because only Rory Singh can direct its use. No other competitor could come in and take over or determine how Rory Singh's reputation is utilized. And then in terms of the past events, this is more of a successive thing which occurs over a period of time. So that's the past events. The issue comes in with the recognition criteria, more specifically with the faithful representation. Because the reputation is internally generated, we can't make an estimate or even have a monetary amount to determine what the value of that reputation is. So for example, how do you put a value on the amazing vibe at a bar? But we don't know that value. It's just intangible. And because it's internally generated and it's intangible, we cannot recognize an asset for it because there's a significant amount of measurement uncertainty. Awesome. Now we'll just give it over to Dean to do question 3 and 4.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Duran. So looking at question 3, which was about the painting, which may influence customers to return to the bar. I think the big issue with this question was people weren't able to identify the difference between when an asset has a potential to produce economic benefits, okay, which is the definition criteria, okay, and then the recognition criteria, which speaks to the probability of the inflow of those economic benefits. So in this case, right, the painting is an asset of the bar. Because it is a present economic resource, which means that they have the right to use the painting or sell the painting, and that has the potential to produce economic benefits. Okay, and that potential was an increase in cash generated due to more customers entering the bar. So the definition criteria was met. However, in this case, there was an issue over the probability of the painting resulting in of an inflow in economic benefits. Okay, so although there is a potential, okay, which is the definition criteria, you need to look at the recognition criteria, which speaks about the probability of inflow of economic benefits. And in this case, the probability of inflow was low, and therefore the asset should not be recognized. Okay, cool. Looking at number 4, I think most people understood that the entity did not have control over the assets, okay, over the creative drinks. The big issue here was that if you read the scenario, the big issue here was that there was no past event. So remember, from tutorials, you would have seen that the past event gives rise to control. Okay, and if you have control and the other criteria are met, then it meets the definition of an asset. So in this case, right, most people understood that they didn't have control, but they didn't explain it correctly in the sense that there was no past event. In other words, at the reporting date, the past event which gives rise to control was in the future, and therefore there's no past event, and that means that it does not meet the definition of an asset. Okay, and yeah, that's pretty much all from that tutorial. There was one mark for making sure that you use the correct terminology as according to the conceptual framework, but otherwise most students struggled with this tutorial, but hopefully after going through the asset definition in the TUT, and after you have reflected on this week's work, I hope that it comes right. Cheers, and we'll see you guys next week.